Okay, so rarely in a workshop do I hear about trust. So that's one of the things that I wanted to go over. So this section is called trust. Um, Obviously, as a photographer, you can read all the books you want on lighting, on Photoshop, but it's not going to make your photos any good if your subject does not trust you. For a lot of the big commercial shoots that I do, it's a challenge that I have because these photos are going to be shown to literally thousands or millions of people. So think about that if you're an actor for a television show or a movie poster and you're just standing there and then you see me walk up and I look like one of the assistants and I say, here's what we're going to be doing today. Obviously, I need to have a little bit of techniques and a few little tricks to help people get more comfortable. I have a few clients that can honestly afford any photographer they would ever want. So why they pick me is of course based on my portfolio, but it's also based on my ability to control and direct a photo shoot. Because I mean, when it comes down to it, if you have a good portfolio, that's really good, but it doesn't mean that you can get that over and over and over again if you're not good at direction. So step one that I use, technique one, is show people your images. Now I know a lot of people when I say that are cringing because maybe they come from shooting film, or maybe they just don't like that because they feel that if they showed somebody an image and then it wasn't anything that they wanted, then the whole photo shoot would be doomed. Well, I'm here to tell you that I believe that happening to you is a lot better than you keeping all the pictures to yourselves and then showing your client after and then them finding out that they don't like it. If they don't like it, they're not going to like it no matter what. So a lot of times on the bigger budget shoots, I always have, it's pretty standard to have a digital tech there with you who's got a big monitor screen. And every time you take a picture, there's maybe 10 to 15 people huddled around making sure if their hair's right, making sure this, that. It's really annoying, but it makes people very, very comfortable, especially if you can do a good job taking the actual photos. So because you're showing people the photographs, it's very important that you light them well and make them as close to the final image as possible. Otherwise, when you're there trying to explain to somebody who's not familiar with Photoshop, who's not familiar with the things that you can do later in post or what your vision is, they're just not going to have a very clear idea of it. So my opinion is you should make your initial image as good as possible. So an example that I have of this is when I shot the metal band Disturbed. Now, this was like one of my first big projects shooting a big band, and it was for Warner Brothers, and I was like pretty scared because it was my first high-end, I guess, job, because I did all the album in their artwork, which is a deluxe edition and all this kind of stuff. So I went into the shoot kind of like, I better do this good. So, and I had to win them over too, because at that time I was even younger than I am now. So the first setup that I did was actually, I think, the most impressive setup visually, and that was them standing behind some broken glass. Now, what would have worked was I could have just photographed them really, really easily against a wall or something, or like how they were without the glass actually there, and told them, yeah, well, later I'm going to Photoshop glass in. To me, that's not very good, because that was the first setup of the day, and I want to really, really impress everybody so that during the rest of the day, they'll do anything that I want. So for that shot, what I ended up doing was I actually raided an auto glass place and went in and asked them if they had any broken windshields, and of course, yeah, please take them all off our hands. We'd be more than happy to. So I gathered those and I busted them up with some crowbars, and I actually physically set up the windshield with two lights on each side with only small reflectors on them to avoid reflections on the glass, and I actually placed the band right behind that windshield. Like I said, it would have been a lot easier just to Photoshop it in later on a different layer using a blending mode or something like that. But honestly, when they saw that picture, there finished how it was supposed to be, everybody all of a sudden was like loving the shoot, really, really happy, and they did everything that I did the whole day, and it was a really, really, really long day, but at the end of the shoot, everybody was really happy, and to me, that is way more important than just impressing everybody later. Another technique that I did during that shoot was I used custom colors inside my camera. Now, you do this with the white balance, and this is a technique that I like to do live on sets right away so I can get the picture looking as close as possible to the final image. So I know that Disturbed, on the final picture of that glass setup, they wanted it really cold, really blue, metal band, rock kind of looking. So I know that my lights are automatically balanced to daylight, which is warm. So I wanted the colors to be cold, so all I did was turn the color temperature down to a more tungsten light. So what that ended up doing was bringing in all those blues that I wanted to Photoshop in later already to the picture. So when they saw it, it looks a lot different than what just their eye sees. So automatically they're like, wow, this is straight from the camera. So this here is actually a picture of what it would just look like normally without the corrected color balance. And this here is what it looked like after. So these little tiny adjustments are going to make a person believe that this is a good photo, and versus the person just not seeing where the direction is that you're going. And alternatively, on this sunset shot that I took of Patrick Watson, the band, for Arena Magazine, R.I.P. During the shoot, I actually had color balanced it the other way so that the color temperature was really, really high, around 7,000 K. And what that did was bring a lot of these warm, nice sunset colors into the picture. And at the time, on the back of my camera, the band really thought that looked great, and they were really happy. But then later I decided, I have a lot of sunset pictures in my portfolio, and I actually prefer this looks colder. So I completely changed it after from the raw file, but I still gained the band's trust to have them for even longer than I was supposed to photograph them. They were supposed to drive to the airport, and they actually stuck around longer, which made me get much better pictures. So it helped my job as well because I just made them simply trust me. So the first thing you do to get the cold blue colors is first you go to your picture style and turn the color tone down. Then you go to your white balance and put it on K, which stands for Kelvin. You're then going to turn that temperature down to a low number such as 5,000 Kelvin, which will give you cold, desaturated colors. And if you want to do it the opposite way, then those would give you those warm sunset colors.